when I came out of that experience, which lasted for 4 hours, I can only describe that as 400 years worth of therapy in 4 hours. It's really hard to explain. And I am a guy who's done a lot and seen a lot, and I absolutely touched different paradigms and different universes that I had no idea existed. I came away. I've got a whole new tattoo, like a whole new, pretty much a whole sleeve on my arm, and I haven't had a tattoo in 10 years.
Imagine it's 12 months from now, and you've achieved your major life goals. How does it feel to be in the best shape of your life? To wake up energized, excited about the day? To have great relationships and friends who support you and propel you forward? How does it feel to have an excess of money, to be able to make the choices you want? To be fearless and open to trying new adventures? Imagine being connected to the universe and it providing everything you desire. It's possible over time, and your past does not dictate your future. The only thing holding you back from this vision is you. It's time to take control of our thoughts and use them to our advantage. Welcome to Rich Your Soul, where we achieve our dreams and bring balance to health, wealth, relationships, time, and spirituality. If you have not had a chance to listen to episodes 1 through 9, I encourage you to go back and listen to the framework behind Rich Your Soul and how to create the life of your dreams. You can also find all the show notes for this episode at richyoursoul.com. Hey, it's Rocky. Welcome to Rich Your Soul. Today's guest is Pete Taylor, who shares how to live your ultimate life. Today's quote is from Tim Ferriss. You're the author of your own life, and it's never too late to replace the stories you tell yourself and the world. Our guest is going to talk about how he did this for himself and how he brought about change in his life. And from there, you can get some takeaways if you need to make a change in yours. Pete's got an interesting backstory, from battling childhood bullying to succeeding in the corporate world and then walking away from it all. He continually pushes himself to grow and to evolve as a man. He's experienced it all: material success, mental health struggles, profound spiritual awakenings, and he has so much wisdom to share from his roller coaster of life's experiences. I know you're going to get tremendous value from this one. Pete's been a pro athlete, serial entrepreneur, built a 7-figure business, had the model wife, the Rolex watches, the cars and the homes in the country, but he left it all to follow his own hero's journey and the second mountain. And we've talked about second mountains many times. He's building a community of guys to help him and then stop playing at level 4 when they know they have level 10 in the bag. He's a father, mentor, and founder of 7 to 8-figure businesses and helping coaches to build resilience, discipline, and character forging. Let's meet Pete. Welcome to Rich Your Soul, Pete Taylor. It's great to have you join us today.
Good to be here, Rocky.
I'm excited to learn from you. We always like to start at the beginning. What was it like when you were growing up, and how much did your family and school teach you about money?
Not a lot, in the short answer. Now I look back at it, and now I've done so much work around money, and I've looked at what was my mum's like money mantra, money mindset, and what was my dad's like money mindset. And like, my mum was absolutely and is absolutely a saver and a worrier, and my dad is absolutely a spender on nice things, but then we'll still go month to month. And it was like an interesting for me in my, when did I start figuring this out in my like early 30s, late 20s, early 30s, started figuring that out. And I'm like, right. That goes to show some of my traits when it comes to money. And there has been 2 times in my life while I have lost an incredible amount of money. Not life-changing amounts of money, but hundreds of thousands of pounds. 2 times I've done it. And I learned something about my dad's past, that he too lost a lot of money. And so did my granddad, so my dad's dad. He also lost a lot of money. He made a lot, so it was like the same as me. Made a lot, lost a lot. So my granddad was very entrepreneurial, brought in like slot machines into the UK, set up shops and made a lot of money, but then lost it all. And my dad did a similar thing. And then because I spent some time looking at this after I'd done the same thing twice, I'm like, there's a trend here, and I need to learn something about this trend and do something about it. And so now it's about, I'll be honest, this is still something I'm working through to ensure that I don't do that again.
Was there an underlying psychological reason for this? And what I mean by that is some people look at money as bad. And so if they get a lot, they get rid of it. Whereas other people are just risk takers and they don't calculate the risk of the bets that they are making. And they don't seem to have that filter of maybe this is too big a bet, or maybe they just have overconfidence.
This was for me a rebellion. So my mum, warrior, money saver, scarcity mindset, like never really earned much money at all. Never really had a lot. And the same with her mum. Didn't really have a lot. Keep everything close to your chest. My dad, just didn't earn lots, but what he did, he spent. So when I started earning money, I would take risks. I would take big risks. And this was like me rebelling against what my parents did with not. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna be the one that breaks this. Like, in my like family's generation on the money, and breaks this. So I'm going to take big risks. So I would say rebellion for me.
Interesting. And it's also interesting that you realize that this is multi-generational. Did
the work. I'm thankful to an existing mentor. Talked to me about this and asked me a number of questions and said, right, let's do the work. And also speak to your dad. Ask your dad the questions. Like, what's his views around money? And what was his dad's views around money? And do the same with my mum. And it's interesting to hear what they actually said about it.
How many people do you know that actually have that conversation?
I actually know quite a lot of people because I happen to run a men's group, Awakened Man, and we get all of our guys to go and do this, especially like if they're fortunate enough for their parents and their grandparents to still be around to go and do this. But outside of that, not many.
I was going to say, if you didn't ask them, they wouldn't do it.
No, they wouldn't have done. They wouldn't have known to ask.
What else did you experience in childhood?
Around money?
No, just growing up in general.
Childhood for me, from the age of, from when I can really remember, which were like 11 onwards, 10 onwards, was difficult. So my bone structure was 3 years below what it should have been. So when I was a 13-year-old, I looked like a 10-year-old. When I was a 16-year-old, I looked like a 13-year-old. When you're a boy and you go to school and you look 3 years younger than everyone else, it gives you a complex, and you're prone to be being picked on, which I was. I was bullied by the boys and I was bullied by the girls, physically by the boys and verbally by the girls. And it didn't feel good. It was horrible. There was a torturous time during my younger teenage years. But now I'm able to look back at that, and that's what molded me. That's what led me into personal development. That's what led me into the gym. I started going to the gym when I was 15 because I wanted to. I was like, I need to change something. Something got to freaking change. I can't go my life like this. I think at this age I hadn't had a girlfriend, and all I wanted was for the girls to like me and for the boys to like me, right? For the cool kids to like me and to get a girl. And I joined the gym and I started working out at a really young age, and it gave me this belief that I can change. I can literally go in there, I can lift some weights, and physically I can change. And lo and behold, I started feeling more confident, and my mentality was changing. And by the time I was 18, 19, I wasn't the cool kid, but I was definitely one of the guys. And I looked different, and I acted different, and I was different because I'd started that personal development journey. But that only stemmed because of the bullying in my younger years.
What did that personal development journey look like?
The best journey. The going to the gym led me to start to feel more confident. I then picked up a book, How to Talk to Anyone. I've still got the book, and that actually, I picked it up so I want to talk to girls, right? That's why I picked that book up. But it actually helped me to start establish myself in a career. Because I started working in corporate when I was 17, and I was still a very shy boy then, very, very young lad. And this organization, I think it had about 200 people working there. And I remember it, like where I was positioned was the furthest position away from the toilet, right? And to get to the toilet, I had to walk past all of these people, and I was a young boy, and it used to be really, really daunting. But part of reading that book, part of like my self-development journey, I would literally go to the toilet as many times as I could during the course of the day. So I'd have to make that walk, and on that walk, I'd force myself to say hello to someone and to talk to someone. Just doing that, it increased my confidence in the workplace. And I was 17, and I started to climb the ranks quickly because I became known, and it was just my thing. It was like, and like I actually remember, like when you set goals for the year, it's like your New Year's resolutions. My New Year's resolution was to literally be more confident. And one of my ways to be more confident was to keep going to the toilet and keep talking to people when I'm going there. And it did. I was able to then to talk to people and be able to look them in the eye and have a conversation.
That's hilarious.
I know, it's crazy. When I think about it now, I'm like, wow, I'm such a completely different man now. Now I go and talk on stages. I could talk in front of 1,000 people. I've literally stood on stage in my pants when I did bodybuilding, and was judged in front of thousands of people on the way I looked. And where did that stem from? That stemmed from me being bullied, to me going to the gym, to me becoming obsessed with getting better and self-development and personal development, physical development, and then going, right, I'm going to do a competition. And then I'm going to do another competition. And then before I know it, I'm on stage in the London O2 Arena in front of thousands of people, against other professionals, because at this stage I'd won my pro cards, and I'm now classed as a professional athlete, all because I was bullied at school.
And I have found success in one area of life leaks into all other areas of life.
100%. Like the bodybuilding, I am so glad that I took that journey. That was a journey that everyone frowned at me on. It was like, what, you were going to get on stage in your pants, you're going to be sprayed orange, and then you're going to be judged. It's a 0.001% of people that will want to go and do that. And the 99% of people will go, that you're a weirdo. But that just helped mold me, and actually going through the pain of forming a body to go and win. It required so much discipline to train twice a day, to eat religiously, to your macros, to the exact meal requirements, right? To do all these things that are very out of character. Like I had to do posing practice to be on stage. You can't just look good and walk on stage. You actually have to walk on stage with a routine. You actually have to know how to compose yourself on stage. That takes serious. I did not know this. When I signed up, I had no freaking idea that I'd have to do this. It was freaking so uncomfortable to be taught how to compose yourself on stage. But I went and spoke on stage twice. I've spoken on stage twice this year. I'm really confident on stage. And I look back at that, my bodybuilding career, and I thought, well, I can see why, because there's so much practice of being able to stand on stage. And it absolutely does lead into other areas of life. Like I put that discipline into building my next business.
You know what's hilarious? I always say, looking back, it's easy to connect the dots. A lot of people struggle to be on camera, on microphone. In the world of podcasting, we have to listen to ourselves. And a lot of people don't enjoy that. My first job was selling dictation equipment. And so you literally had to record and listen to yourself all the time as you're demonstrating the equipment and selling it. I never thought that it would have any value. And here we are in the world of podcasting where you have to record and listen to yourself. And it just made it so easy for me because I had to teach people how to speak into recorders and how to be able to do that. And so it just made it so easy for me later in life. But I would have never thought it would have led to anything other than money.
Yeah. It's amazing how the dots join.
It's amazing how the dots join backward. It's hard to see it going forward, right? You weren't sitting on that stage doing bodybuilding going, I'm going to have all this success.
No, but I'll tell you what, this is an interesting point. You can't see it going forward, but you do have a choice. Like you do have a choice to take route A or route B. And for me, like route B was always the scarier choice. It was, hey, I'm going to go and commit to doing a bodybuilding competition. This is shit scary. This makes me feel sick. Hey, I'm going to quit my well-paid corporate leadership position where I've literally just been promoted to have a team, like a bigger team underneath me and my own offices in London. I'm going to quit that to go and set up my own business that I have no idea about. That was route B. Like route A was stick with the corporate career. You're doing well. Just keep going. Right. And so we can't join the dots going forward, but we can make bold moves. We can make power moves, which could change our direction and give us a bigger story.
And so you did that, right? You climbed the corporate ladder. You did well. You had all the fancy stuff of building that corporate life and all of the wonderful stuff and the nice cars and the nice houses. And you gave it all up?
The nice cars and the nice houses came when I built my first business. Albeit, I actually did I had very nice cars when I was in the corporate world, and but actually the more so when I built my own business, and that was from living room all the way up to 3-story building in London, over the course of 6 years, and throughout that period, got the fancy cars and the nice watches and the model wife. You know, I have a nice house in the countryside with a nice bit of land. And I got towards the end of that 6-year stint and I suppose it wasn't so much this was the complete wrong mountain, but it's like I put my ladder up against the wall. I'd spent 6 years climbing the damn ladder, then realised it was probably the wrong wall. Like it was the wrong part of the wall. It needed to be over there a little bit. And not that I regret any of that, because it's shaped as to how I am now. And it's taught me many lessons. And I certainly wouldn't be leading the group of men that I'm leading now if I hadn't gone through that. However, I could have taken route A and stayed in and stayed in that position, stayed in that business because everyone wanted me to stay, no one wanted me to go, and I would still be there now, and I'd probably be very, very, very mentally unhappy if I hadn't taken route B, which was the ballsy move to quit my own company.
How hard was that to do?
It wasn't actually that hard, I'll be honest. It was an easy choice when I knew what was really at stake. And I could see my mental health deteriorating. Like, I was not in a good place. And although from the exterior it looked like Pete was in a great place, I wasn't. And I was having thoughts that I'd never thought I'd have. And I knew it. I just knew it wasn't right. And I could either sit and dwell and bathe in all the victimhood and bathe in poor Pete, or I could do something about it. And actually, it was a Saturday morning, and it was like the straw that broke the camel's back. And I had one message from one of my team members, and it was from something very, very small. And I just thought, "Fuck this!" And 3 months later, I was out of the business.
You're decisive.
I've actually noticed I have fuck it moments. This is actually a really recent realization. I have these moments of fuck it. We need to change. We need to move. Otherwise, I'm going to get too comfortable. And I know that when I'm comfortable, I'm not happy. I'm going backwards when I'm comfortable.
Interesting. Most people want comfort.
It's a paradox. We seek comfort, but actually, for us to be comfortable, we have to lean into the uncomfort. Because when we take like safe decisions, decisions that don't necessarily move us forward but keep us there, we're going backwards. We're just taking like one point back. And if we consistently take these real safe decisions that just keep us where we are now, it just takes us a little point back, a little point back, a little point back. And before we know it, we'll be 3 or 4 points back. And then that's when we're unhappy. So it's like, why didn't I go for that bigger opportunity? Why did I stay in bed this morning and not go to the gym when I told myself I was going to go to the gym? Now I feel tired. Now I feel lazy. And I've done this now for 7 days on the trot, and and I can feel this mentally. Like that's the micro. The micro is, I'm going to make this comfortable decision and stay in bed because it's comfortable and nice and warm here, rather than get out when it's cold and go to the gym and improve my health. That's a micro decision. But over the course of 7 days, 14 days, 7 months, 14 months, it turns into a macro. And the bed to gym is a really easy example, but it can be the same in our business. It can absolutely be the same in our relationships, like with our partners. It's hard. I know that I should really compliment my wife right now, but I'm not going to. She pissed me off yesterday, and I'm not gonna say anything. It's like the harder thing the uncomfortable thing would have been to give my wife a nice big compliment. And even though I'm tired right now, or I'm angry, or wherever I'm feeling, I've got shit going on in the business. But I don't choose to do that. I choose to make the easy choice and say nothing and just get on with my day. It's micro, but over time it becomes macro, and over time it becomes a problem. And over time, someone else gives her a compliment that isn't you, and then it becomes very, very painful. And then for us taking those comfortable decisions, 1 point back, 1 point back, 1 point back, we can find ourselves in a very, very bad place.
And it's little things, right? It's not this major thing. It's all these teeny little things that over time take you down a direction. And it's been a while since I told the stories like this, but I used to use a lot of flying stories. So if you think about it, if I take off from Los Angeles and I'm 1 degree off course, I'm not going to land on the runway that I was supposed to land on. And the further you go, 1 or 2 or 3 degrees off course, the further and further you get from where you expect it to be. And you don't notice it. It's just 1 degree. No big deal, right?
Massive. That's the same in business. If you got business partners, we had this recently in my business. We were a couple of degrees off course. None of us were truly aligned, and because of that, there was this slight disjoint, and there was slight little micro conflicts, and just decisions couldn't be made effectively or efficiently or just quickly because there's this ever so slight out, like 1 degree out of alignment.
Why do most people ignore the 1 degree? Why don't they take action when it's little?
It's hard because it's uncomfortable. Right now, I'm going through a divorce. So me and my now ex-wife, we are maybe 10, 12 weeks since we decided to separate and file for divorce. It started with us being 1 degree off from each other, just on our vision. It was similar visions, very same visions, and then it was slightly off. And then over time, we're on different pages, and it's hard. It's hard to have those really difficult conversations. Sometimes early on because we can take the safe choice, the easy choice, and go, I know we're slightly off, but it's not that bad. It's not that. We'll figure it out. We always do. We'll be all right. We'll figure it out. We'll get back on course. I'm sure she's thinking the same as what I'm thinking. We'll be all right. It's hard to go, do you know what? It's hard to have a sit-down conversation face to face and like an open and honest conversation. That's hard. I'll tell you, it's fucking a lot harder when you are 180 degrees, of course.
Is it harder then? I thought it would be easier at that point because you're just so fed up. You can just say, screw it, because there's not even a shred of hope.
It's harder in the fact that there can be, if so much time has passed, a lot more at stake.
Yes.
Right. And it becomes more like, it can be a logistical nightmare. There's a lot more to think about. Like for me, for example, we have properties. I have a boy. We have a son. We have a baby boy. Like there's a lot more involved with that, and I found this with not just in myself, but with a lot of guys, especially a lot of high performing guys, will be with a woman and be okay with their things not being completely right, because we're very focused on the business. And what we want at home is safety and security and some love. We don't want a hard life at home. We'd rather deal with the hard in our business. And so we can ignore little micro things that may be wrong in a relationship. I did that. And I've learned the hard way. But I've since noticed that, and speaking to plenty of other guys, that I am not the only man who does that.
You're not. We humans all do the same thing. We don't talk about it. We don't have the conversations. We don't share. We sweep everything under the rug because it's easier. And we just assume it'll go okay. And then 1,000 cuts later, this is what happens. And I say the same thing for parenting. Like, if you show me the 16-year-old kid, I'm like, that 16-year-old kid ended up there because of what you did when they were 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. It's look in the mirror and you'll see why your kid is where your kid is. And the same thing even going into adulthood on the other side of it. You know, you ignore your kid at 16. When you're 80, good luck in the nursing home, right?
Yeah.
Because you taught them that. That's what you taught them. And the same thing happens with business relationships, with spousal relationships, with friendships. Everything follows these same simple patterns, and yet we struggle with them.
Yeah, 100%. It's my previous business. Part of the reason that broke down and I left was because I I didn't uphold strong boundaries with my business partner, and we didn't have the often hard conversations that we needed to have. We didn't treat our relationship like a marriage. We should have had the marriage counseling in the business.
Today's episode is sponsored by Profit Answer Man Podcast. Did you know that most small business owners hate looking at their financials? It's one reason they may struggle with business success. The Profit Answer Man podcast helps them ensure they are profitable and can pay their employees and weather the storms we all have to face. It's built on the Profit First methodology of pay yourself first. The Profit Answer Man podcast is a must listen to for every small business owner and anyone who wants to help them survive and thrive. Check it out on your favorite listening platform. It's not easy. And, the other half of that is so many people go for therapy. But what I find with therapy is 20 years and nobody makes progress per se. And it's mostly because they're constantly stuck in the problem from 20 years ago. They're not doing anything to move forward or to bring about change. And I know there's a massive shift going on in that whole industry. They're figuring out to use a whole different level of drug therapy to help people essentially, because all of these things it's the friction of getting started, right? Or even turning everything off so you can take an inward journey.
Yeah, like the friction of getting started, a lot of people will come up with like imposter syndrome. Like, I don't want to get started, I'm not good enough. And like imposter syndrome, it's like, hey, have you ever been a beginner at something? Right? That's what you are. You're a beginner. It's like me and you on the camera. We're on the camera now and we're recording a podcast and we're pretty confident at doing it. There was a time where I was a beginner at this and I could have very easily had some imposter syndrome because I'm like, oh, I don't belong now. I've not done this before. I'm not very good at that. It's like driving a car. It's like going to the gym, right? It's scary at first and you don't have a clue what you're doing. You are a beginner. Welcome to being a beginner.
And it's okay.
It's fucking normal. It's normal and it's life. And like we all go for it. Everyone does. All top dogs, they had to start at being a beginner.
That is so true. You recently did a journey to kind of do some exploration. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I did. So, like I said, I've been in the personal development space as a consumer since a really young age, since 15. I'm now 36. So I've been in the space for a long time. Only a couple of years ago did I go on the other side. So I'm not just a consumer, I'm also a provider. So when I left my bricks and mortar company, I went into helping guys like me, right? Just giving everything that I'd learned to heal myself, I was able to give to others in a coaching capacity, coaching and mentoring capacity. During this, my next stage of growth, I started to do some therapy. I actually started to do therapy because I was just about to become a father. And I just wanted to figure a few things out, and I wanted to ensure that I was going to be the best dad possible, and I wanted to learn more about me, more about my childhood, just to ensure I'm going to be the best dad I can be. And I'm so like my therapist there, Tim. He taught me a couple of great things for my relationship with Leo, and it's been exponential for me. He also dug into my past, and the work I did with him was great. And he described it as this. The first session I did with him, and I remember I said to Tim, I was like, by the way, I am not broken. Like, I don't need fixing. I'm pretty good I'm a high performer. I know what I'm doing. I've been in this personal development world for a long time. We soon found out I had fucking loads of shit going on, right? But he said to me, he said, Pete, imagine a big tank, like a military war tank. And you know how slow those things go. He said, imagine now this first session, you just got in the tank and we're just about to start turning it around, ever so slowly turning it around. That's what this is going to be. It's a long journey. I'm like, okay, well, listen, I plan on being in this world for a long time. I'm in it for the long run. And I did 18 months with Tim, and I still see Tim every so often when I feel that I need to get something off my chest, or I need a chat, I'll go and see Tim. But a few months ago, I met a guy who came to one of my events over in London, and his speciality is psilocybin, like some magic mushrooms. And he's been doing it for 17 years. He's been hosting events and seeing people through experiences. And I was really, really interested in what he was saying and just drawn to his energy. Like he had an energy about this guy. Very, very spiritually aware. And for me, I'd always blocked the spiritual side. I have no idea what that's all about. So I hadn't paid too much attention to it. But in the back of my head, back in the day, I've done all the typical traditional substances, so to say, or what the young guys do, and I've experienced all of that, and I haven't touched any drugs or substances in a very, very long time, but I've always been open to experiences. The day that Denise and I decided to separate, I called 3 people. One of them was my dad. One of them was my business partner, who's also a great, great friend, and he's also a mentor to me. And the other one was this guy called Danny, who I'd met 2 weeks ago, who I'd spoken to once, and who I knew lived on a Spanish island. And I was like, Danny, I need to get away. I need to get out of my house because this is what's just happened. So I need to change my environment, and I also want to experience plant medicine. And so for me, I actually felt a calling. Like it wasn't just a spare of the moment thing. I had a calling to go and do this. And 2 days later, I took a plane out to Ibiza, and I met up with my client, and I turned into his client, and he took me on an experience where we did a heroic dose of psilocybin. And when I came out of that experience, which lasted for 4 hours, I can only describe that as 400 years worth of therapy in 4 hours. It's really hard to explain, and I am a guy who's done a lot and seen a lot, and I absolutely touched different paradigms and different universes that I had no idea existed. I came away, I've got a whole new tattoo, pretty much a whole sleeve on my arm. And I haven't had a tattoo in 10 years. And the last tattoo I got, this one here, which is a whole sleeve on my arm, was in memory of my best friend who died in a car accident when he was 25. So it's been 10 years since I got a tattoo. And this tattoo means a lot to me. For me to go out off the back of an experience and to go and get a whole new sleeve, this new sleeve also means an incredible amount to me. And it's so many things that I processed through that experience that like I said, I think it would have taken me 400 years to get to the depth of that in therapy.
We don't have 400 years.
No. Since then, my business partner has gone out and he's also on the same trip. He's literally just got back yesterday, and we're having a chat about it this morning. And he said he thinks he's got so much from that, and I believe the same, because we have done an incredible amount of work on ourselves prior to going. So we have done an incredible amount of coaching. We have done an incredible amount of therapeutic work. So we have like deep understandings of like how our inner psychology works to probably a higher extent than most. But we also went there with very clear intentions. I wasn't going there just to take a load of drugs and take a load of mushrooms and get high. It wasn't that. It was going there with very clear intentions.
And all of life is like that, right? Go somewhere with clear intentions, whether it's bodybuilding, walking to the toilet to learn how to talk to people, whatever it is. When you have clarity of intention, it becomes easier to achieve your goals. And all of a sudden, opportunities start to present themselves. Things start to open up. Life just happens. I find most people have no idea where they're going, no clarity, no direction. And then it really isn't hard to be 1 degree off or 2 degrees off or 180 degrees off.
Yeah.
Or in a circle, spiraling downward.
Yeah, I think that's one of the, when we get guys coming to us in Awakened Man, it's one of the biggest things. They don't know what they want. They don't know where they're going. And they're overwhelmed at that.
So how do you help them?
It depends where they're at. One of the quickest things I'll do with guys, really, really quickly, and it will absolutely change their lives. I typically find that when guys come to us, they will have certain vices. Those vices may well be, they may watch too much porn, and they don't talk about it, and it's kind of a bit of a hidden secret. They might joke about it with some of their mates, but it's a problem. So they might watch too much porn, or they might drink too much alcohol. So they might numb with the alcohol. It might just like, hey, I'm just having a glass or having a beer, and then it turns into two, and it's a weekly occurrence or a nightly, a daily occurrence, whatever it looks like. It may be that there is some drug abuse, the substance. It might be weed. It might be harder than that. It might be that they've got like a vice, such as they're on social media too much. They're on their phones too much, and it's used as a form of numbing. Or they watch way too much TV. They've got these vices that is there to numb something. So one of the first things I'll do is help them eliminate that or reduce it. And then I'll get them getting up earlier. Some already get up earlier. Most don't. So I get them getting up earlier because it's hard to get up early. But typically when they get up earlier, that means they got some more time. So with that time, I'll get them training, get them doing something with their health. Whether that's a walk, whether that's a run, whether that's going to the gym, whether that's doing a home workout. It's doing something with their health. And then I'll get them tracking their food. These are super, super simple things. So real simple, but in a short space of time, you can get a man who is directionless, and he's got some. I'm not saying we haven't figured out like what the North Star is yet. We don't know what the magic North Star is. But what we have done is got some form of direction in the I'm going to quit these vices that aren't doing me any favors, that are damaging me internally and probably damaging my relationships. I'm also going to get myself in better physical and mental health by getting up earlier, training and tracking. I'm also teaching myself discipline. Okay, because I'm not relying on motivation here. That's fleeting. That comes and goes. This is like, I have to be disciplined just to get up early. I have to be disciplined to go to the gym, because most times I don't want to go to the gym. And I have to be disciplined to eat this food, because most times I want to eat a cake or a cookie.
What are people trying to numb themselves to or from?
Yeah, to numb themselves from. It's avoidance. Most of the time it's and the avoidance can range. The avoidance can absolutely be business related. So they are avoiding doing the work that they need to do to grow the business. And so it's like they need to go and make a load of sales calls. They got these calls lined up. They could potentially go and make some sales, but they have an urge just to look at social media when they should be going and making a sales call. And then on social media, so this is they look at Instagram, because it's a very, very popular app. And they look at Instagram and they see a half-naked woman, because that's also extremely popular on Instagram. There is a lot of it. And now they've seen that, and because they're typically, I work with guys, so they're men. The men have urges. So now in the middle of, so it's 2:00, they should be making a sales call, but they had a quick look on Instagram, because their phone's next to them, and they've seen a half naked woman, they've now got an urge, and now they're going to go and jerk off in the middle of the day. That is very, very frequent, more than guys will admit. And there is an avoidance from doing the hard work in the business. It may also be an avoidance in a relationship. They might be having problems in a relationship, and rather than facing those problems, they will avoid it by drinking.
Interesting. What are these people that are coming to you? Like, where are they at in their life currently?
These guys aren't broken. They're not like, it's not like suicidal ideation, or they're not at the bottom. They're not like the world's going to end and I'm on the ground. Typically, they're guys that they're doing better than most. And the key denominator is that they do want more, and they know that they can get more. They just don't know how to get it. So the guys vary massively in terms of how far they are in their wealth and how far they are in their health. Some guys come to us and they're super wealthy, but their relationship's a shit show and they look like a sack of shit. Other guys will be the other way, where they look phenomenal, but their finances aren't in a good place. But the key denominator is that they all actively want that improvement, and they know that they can be doing more. Like in their own minds, they're playing at level 4. They're playing at level 4 in their potential scale. They know that they can get to some like a level 10. They just don't know how to get there.
Is that all it is? It's just a lack of a plan to go from where they are to where they want to be? Or is there something else that is preventing them from taking that first step?
Sometimes it's as simple as having a right plan. Other times it's as simple as being in a community of other guys. Like a lot of guys come to us, this is actually a common denominator. A lot of guys are lonely. Like they're isolated. And often they've isolated themselves. They may well have outgrown historic friendships, and they may have shed historic friendships and then not replace them. And then that can go on, and they can actually then be very lonely. And so a lot of guys will come to us because they want to be in a community, or they want to be around other high performing guys. And then just in doing so, they will accelerate, because they'll feel that support. They can be heard. They can talk, and they can get some shit off their chest, and then go, fucking hell, I've been feeling this way for 10 years and I've had no one to talk about it. And then they accelerate it. So it's like a weight off their chest. Or, and this is a biggie, is they'll see another guy just like them doing something bigger. And they'll go, hang on a minute, if Joe can do it, and Joe's just like, he's like me, and he's just got, why can't I go and do that? And then they'll go and do it. Sometimes it's just as simple as that. Other times, there is internal beliefs. There is internal resistance that needs to be broken down and broken through. And that can take time. Sometimes it's quick, and other times it can take some time.
It's funny how much who we surround ourselves with makes such a difference. And to be honest, I mean, if you looked at most guys, I'm guessing most of their friends are work friends. You switch a job. Today, people are constantly switching jobs. You know, you forget to make the 1 degree, right? You forget to make the phone call. You get busy. You don't show up at the regular, whatever, Friday night event, or you find yourself not wanting to do what the group wants to do. It could be a million slight separations, but it's true. There are not a lot of places for guys to, and guys are not like, women all talk to each other. Guys are not like that, right? We don't go to the gym and start having a conversation with the guy next door. Women all go to the bathroom together. I can tell you, guys don't go to the bathroom and start a conversation. It ain't happening.
that's a big thing, because talking is a form of release. It's a form of therapy. It's a form of just getting shit out. Women do that all the time. They are phenomenal at it. Here's the word. It's processing. It's a form of processing. And guys, we need to process and just articulate. Women do that really well. They will talk to their hairdresser. They'll talk to all their girls in the toilet. They'll do it all the time.
And we're dumb enough to try and fix it.
Yes.
They don't want it fixed.
They don't. No. They absolutely don't want it fixed. Especially high-performing men. They are problem solvers and they're fixers.
Every single day I forget that. I might have to write it on the wall big.
They do not want their problems solved or fixed. No, 100%. And so many guys, myself included, I have to catch myself. Now, my ex-wife now, but so often I would try to fix something and it's not the right route.
No. What else have you learned along this journey?
What else have I learned along this journey? I'll tell you what I've learned along this journey is that actually having like structural discipline is really powerful. And that, so like I have structures in my life, protocols, that if I follow will get me to where I want to be. I feel good. Everything around me grows physically, mentally, financially, spiritually, my relationship, as long as I follow these protocols. This is like structural discipline. And to ensure that I follow them, I've got to be structurally disciplined. But more often than not, I won't feel like following them because I'll have a bad day. I'll have a test. Something will test me. And the little voice in my head, I call it Part X, will go, Pete, have a day off, mate. You've worked hard this week. Don't bother going to the gym. Don't bother following the blueprint that you follow for your business. Just take a day off, take it easy, just do half of it. And I think like what I've learned is that Part X voice, which is the self-saboteur, the inner voice, the inner enemy that wants to fuck me up, I've learned that he is there to fuck me up and that I need to listen to what he's saying and then go, cheers, mate, I'm going to do it anyway, even though I don't want to do it. Like this morning, I didn't feel great this morning, I have to admit. Like the last like 3 or 4 days, I've just come back from Dubai and it's air conditioning over there because it's 40-degree heat over there. So it's air conditioning everywhere in the hotels. And it clogged up my nose and you might be able to hear it, bunged up my sinuses. And for the last 4 days, haven't felt great. When I was over in Dubai, we had all these podcasts booked. And in my head, self-saboteur, Part X, hey, cancel the podcast. Cancel it, mate. Because you'll feel better about it. You should take 4 or 5 days off. You've been working hard this year. Cancel those clients meeting too. And just take some time off to chill. You deserve a rest. And I have learned that he is the enemy. Right? Because I know that if I had cancelled the podcast when I was over in Dubai, I would have absolutely regretted that. And I did the podcast and they were absolute fire. They were great and I felt great about it afterwards. But in the morning, it was testing me and want to cancel them. So I have learned that structural discipline is your friend and the inner enemy, the guy that wants to talk you out of things, is not your friend. And so having to be like being able to juggle those two is very, very powerful. And you can rely on that for your success.
Any ideas on how to get him to shut up?
No, he will never shut up. That's the thing. He's always going to be there. He never goes.
And it's been a while since I read BJ Fogg, but BJ Fogg is all about micro habits. And what he basically says, tiny habits. Yeah. If you take the first step, the rest will follow. So, you don't if you get in the car and head towards the gym, it'll happen. But you just got to get in the car. You don't have to worry about the rest of it. Like, get the first part of it going. And the more you can remove the friction of taking the first step, the more likely you'll have success.
I love that. And I use that. I love BJ Fogg's work, and Tiny Habits is a great book, and I didn't realize I've been using that. So this morning didn't feel great, but I know going to the gym makes me feel good. I didn't want to go. I said to myself, Pete, go in there and do 1 minute. Just do 1 minute. Go in there, just move the weights, just do 1 minute, and then you can leave. I did it. I went in there, did 1 minute, felt good. I did 2 minutes, then did 3, then did 4, 5 minutes later, I'm still in there. Just do 1 minute, or just get in the car, or just put your shoes on, or whatever it looks like.
And when I was on that whole journey, one of the things I did, because there were a couple times where I was hurt, it was like, I'm not going to break the habit. I will go to the gym, and if I have to lift an empty bar, I will lift an empty bar, but I will do my reps and sets.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether it's a full bar or not, I'll do what I can today. And that has kept me moving through the whole time and helped me be successful.
It's character forging. You're forging your character. And in those moments when it's tough, what route do you take? Do you take the easy route, or do you take the harder route? And the harder route, it always forges the stronger character. I got this from a guy called Alex Hormozy. I was listening to him the other day, and he said, and I freaking love this. He was like, imagine you got like a computer game, and in the game there's like the main character, and over the course of the game you got to make that main character into this savage of a character, so he can go and kill all the bosses and beat up all the bosses with his swords and his superpowers. Well, you're not going to put him through an easy journey, are you? You're not going to go, oh, just go, you take the easy route, go to the shop over there. No, you're going to put him through all the hard battles, so he keeps improving all of his skills and gets bigger and bigger and better, so he can kill the bigger bosses. It's the same as us. We have to forge our character, and we have to do that the hard way.
It's always about doing the hard work, and it all starts with the one tiny step in the right direction and knowing what direction that you need to go in order to do that. It's time to learn the secrets of life. What's your secret to living an abundant life?
Abundance is everywhere. I know the world, there is so much for it to offer, and it's so fruitful. Abundance is everywhere. And that's just my belief.
When you look for something, you will find it. What did you learn later in life that you wish you would have learned sooner?
Not to give a fuck what other people think.
How long ago you learned that?
Not that long ago, actually. It was not that long ago. In the last couple of years, especially as I've been out on more social media, and I had the keyboard warriors and the people who want to say bad things, and I learned that they're always going to be there, and they're always going to have loads of time to be keyboard warriors, and I don't have the time.
So true. If you were to give an 18-year-old one specific piece of wisdom, what would it be?
Take more risks and don't care what people think.
And when you're young, you're naturally a risk taker, so you might as well do it while you're naturally okay doing it.
Yeah, I mean, there's loads I would say to an 18-year-old, like, learn skills. It's not all about going out getting drunk, and use your 20s to forge yourself, because your 30s can be hard, but they can be even harder if you're still a boy.
So true. And it compounds both ways. If people would like to learn more about you, your programs, what's the best way for them to do that?
Check out my Instagram, which is Pete_Taylor, or The Awakened Man, which is awakenedman.org, the website.
And I will put that in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Been a pleasure.
By the way, Pete's also on my other podcast, Profit Answer Man, talking about the business side of life. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Pete Taylor as much as I did. He had profound insights from the many transformational experiences he's gone through. I know it's uncomfortable sometimes to take the risk, but it's crucial for growth. You got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I really struggle with that one, I'll tell you that. Surround yourself with people who inspire you to level up. That's important. I'm part of mastermind groups that allow me to do that. Ignore that inner voice and the self-doubt. We all have it. It doesn't matter how successful you are. Plant medicines are booming right now. I'm hearing a lot, both on the scientific side and just from other people's experiences. You notice we've had a couple episodes with people talking about it. I'm going to have a Harvard grad student on. I think he's Harvard or Yale or one of these Ivy Leagues to talk a little bit more about his research. Figure out what you need for that journey that you want to be on. So pick one area of your life that you know you need growth in, and then figure out what's one small step you can take this week to push yourself and let go of some of that self-doubt and try it out. You got to keep taking those steps. That's the most important thing. Thank you for listening today. I appreciate it. If you know someone else who might enjoy it, I appreciate if you share it with them as well. Have a wonderful and abundant week.